Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Brandy here with Project Manuals, and today we're making homemade peanut butter. Now this is the first time I've tried my hand at this. I just recently got a food processor and now I want to do all the things I couldn't do before, and this one was on the top of my list. It'll either go well or it won't. We'll see. The first step that I need to do with my ingredients is roast my peanuts. So I've got a pound of peanuts here. You're gonna need a sweetener if you would like it, and oil, that is optional. Peanuts do have a decent amount of oil to them if you just give them time to break down in the food processor, and then a little salt if you'd like that as well. You could just do straight peanuts and it would be peanut butter. It just depends on how you want that to taste. So I've pulled them out just so that as I'm going, I can sort of taste that process and see what I need, if anything. I've got my sheet pan right here. We need to roast our peanuts. So we're going to put them in. The oven is set at 375. I've got a convection oven. If you don't, just set that at 400. We're gonna do 10 minutes. We're gonna shake them to make sure that we've got even toasting on all sides. And then we're gonna pop them in for another 5 to 10 minutes. All right, folks. That was our first couple minutes. Our first 9. Peanuts are done. I've got everything ready to go into the food processor. Now, I cut my cook time by about 25%, and it was still too long for some of it. And if you can see those are, I mean, on the cusp of just being burned. I did even eat one because I thought, you know, maybe it's not as bad as what it looks. But no, these are way overcooked. And so when it says to shake the pan, I would do more than that. I would probably get your spatula in there, move the outsides to the inside and the insides to the outside. In my particular oven, it seemed like the outsides ran a little bit hot. So we've got nearly a pound of peanuts, and then we've got some adders, right? All right, so we're just gonna open our food processor up. Go ahead and get your S-blade in, your peanuts after that. Our peanuts are gonna go through a lot of different changes while they are in the food processor. Now, don't stop the food processor as soon as you see it start to get a little bit liquidy. We're gonna let those peanuts break down and let the oil come out, all right? So we're chopping. We're just gonna push the chops. Okay, so now you can see pieces and even some like a starting to break down into a dust, right? Or like a peanut flour. All right, so now we do have most of the peanuts that we started with are broken down into like a crumb at this point. Now, on any of your food processors, they are powerhouses, but they are still machines. So make sure every 30 to 60 seconds that you do turn it off and give it a little bit of a break. All right, so we're gonna give it a break, and while we are, let's look at it and kind of see what we've got so far. All right, so right now, this is like a crumb, essentially. It's mealy, so it's not super fine just yet, and it's not creamy at all, right? So we've got work to do still. All right, so if you see now, it is starting to clump together a little bit. So it's getting warm enough that the peanuts themselves are starting to leach out some of those oils and sort of form a more, it's not quite Play-Doh, but something a little bit closer to it. All right, so we are at that sort of Play-Doh or sort of ball phase now. And so what we're gonna do is we are just gonna make sure that everything underneath and around the edges is also broken down to the same level that the rest of it is. And if you notice, it's starting to look wet. It's actually forming, look at that. It's not crumb anymore. That is actually starting to be peanut butter. It's coming along really nicely. Originally, I was not going to add oil because I know that peanuts have oil in them already, and as you process them, it does get warm and release those oils. I am gonna add just a little bit, maybe a quarter teaspoon, just a little splash. And the reason is I did read from several different people that with a little bit of oil, that is what sort of smooths it out. So I'm not adding much. I don't want this greasy or to have any texture that I don't, just an unenjoyable texture, but I am just gonna give it a little splash. And this is just liquid coconut oil. Ugh. All right, let's see if we can get this finished up this last go. All right, so I was hoping this was gonna be the last time I opened and closed the food processor, but it actually needs to be scraped down. I noticed that we've got some solid particles, or a little more solid than peanut butter, kind of creeping up the sides. So we're just gonna scrape that down and get it back with the group. So this is what we've got right now. It is still pretty grainy. So this isn't what I'd hoped for at all. It is getting pretty warm. It definitely needs salt. And I think I'm gonna use honey in it. I had pulled, we've got a little bit of local honey I'd been hoarding that I thought might be nice for this, but it definitely needs flavor. But in saying that there were some that were overcooked and burned, this is not bad. It doesn't taste burned. It doesn't have any unpleasant aftertaste. It just doesn't have the flavor that you're used to from the commercially manufactured peanut butter. So while I let that sort of do what it needs to do, we're gonna just put a little bit of honey, maybe start out with, a tablespoon or so, and then just a fat pinch of salt. We're almost at the moment I thought would not come. We're finally starting to get that shine where I know that the oil is breaking down, starting to get shiny and a lot smoother. So hopefully it'll just be another couple minutes. To be honest, I came into this cocky thinking, oh, I've got a new Ninja. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna go so quick. And it actually is a lot of work even for this one. I don't know anything about food processors, but you know how you get, right? Oh, it's a Ninja. Oh, it's a Keurig. Oh, it's a whatever. So in my head, the workhorse was gonna get it done quick. And it's work even for it. It is pretty grainy still. The salt and the sweetness are getting a little bit closer, but I mean, we've been at this, I wanna say, for somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, and we're still not where we're supposed to be. So while it's super neat to be able to make peanut butter on your own, I don't know that this is something I would do all the time. I don't have the time to devote to peanut butter when I can go buy it on the shelf. It is a little bit more cost effective to do it this way, but not by a lot. So the time that I'm inconvenienced to do this, I just finished a video a few minutes ago with meal prepping, and I think I got 6 bell peppers, 4 crowns of garlic, 5.5 onions, and a pound of carrots, all prepped for this week in less time than it has taken to do one food processor with peanut butter so far. So for me, it's super nice to know that I can do this. I've got a 12-year-old boy who can eat his weight in peanut butter. Let's see how the flavor is. If we keep doing this, I'll never finish, and also I probably won't have any peanut butter left because I'm just eating it out. It's so much smoother than it was. So much smoother than it was. It could still stand to go a little bit longer, but we're finally getting to that silkiness, that silky phase. And the flavor's spot on. I love where it's at. It's got enough sweet. It's got enough salt. I'm happy. All right, so we are in this for, I don't even know how much time we're at now, guys. It's been a while. I will tell you, it still looks a little bit grainy. If you can see that, let me see if I can get it to focus. See, it's still grainy. This is not smooth like a commercial peanut butter. And to be honest, I don't know that it's going to end up that smooth. I will tell you the flavor profile is spot on. I know you'll realize I look a little bit different clothes, maybe different hair. I started to put this video together, and toward the end of piecing it, I realized I was missing a file. So as I tried to look through the computer and the camera's SD card and everywhere else, I realized I actually forgot to film the ending. I got distracted. This was the 4th video I filmed that day, and I just completely missed it. So I did want to give you my final thoughts on this. I know at the beginning of this video, I had said I thought this peanut butter recipe was a flop. Now, it isn't a flop for the reasons that you would think. The taste is spot on. The texture was actually a lot more smooth than I thought it would be, but it did take an incredibly long time for one item of food. So if I were going to make it on a normal basis, I would definitely bump that quantity up so I didn't have to make it quite so often. In saying that, it's only got about a 30-day shelf life. You could probably stretch it a little bit longer, but you want to be careful anytime that there are oils in something. Peanuts are high in oil. Those oils can go rancid and just really affect that flavor, and you don't really want to eat bad oil. This peanut butter took a long time to make, at least 30 minutes, not even counting, you know, what you add for film time, but it just takes a long time. And so for me, I don't see the value in spending that kind of time on one item. I would rather spend a little bit more and be able to just go pick that up. I know that 30 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're spending 30 minutes on one item of food, that's not even something you have to have. It's just something that you want to have on top of kids and responsibilities and all of these other things. I just don't have that. Let me rephrase that. This is not that high on my priority list to sacrifice that time for. In saying this, the 2 men of my household have decided that they love it, it's amazing, and they want it all the time. Now on to the bad. Our daughter has a peanut allergy. It's nothing that's serious. Usually if she ingests it, she'll get some rashes around the mouth. Now, over this last summer, she did get a hold of some peanuts outside of the home. And she was sick for a couple of days, just digestionally sick. I didn't think a lot about that when I was doing this. We make sure that everything's cleaned very, very well for her. We make sure that there's no cross-contamination. However, I'm not sure if it was roasting the peanuts or if it was processing. And if I had to guess, I would assume processing, because although the food processor does have a lid, it's not what you would call airtight, right? So my guess is it got up into the air and she breathed some in. That evening after making the peanut butter, she had a pretty bad headache and she was wheezing pretty bad for about 2.5 days. And she was not upset about it, but as a parent, you feel terrible. And I feel like an awful parent even to tell you this, but I would rather you know and maybe learn from my mistakes than me just sit here quiet. So if I had to do it to make it again, what I would do is probably buy the peanuts pre-roasted and go outside. We've got a really nice back porch. It's got plug-ins, it's covered, that kind of thing. On a nice day, or if you wanted to take it to a friend's house or a family member's house, I would go there and process it. And again, like I said, I mean, the sun's out right now. This is a perfect day to do it. Watch the weather, figure out what day would work for that, and to make it the next time, it's gonna be on my back porch. I don't know when that's going to be. It seems like for the last month, we have just been nonstop with a lot of things happening. So with the good, the bad, and the ugly that I just told you, the jury is out as to when I'll make this the next time. Not every video can be a winner. I can tell you it was delicious. It was smoother than I thought it would be, even though it wasn't as creamy as the normal one you would find at the grocery store, not quite that smooth. But it was delicious and we loved it. It didn't last long. For more DIY, copycat recipes, and meal planning, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss any of my videos upcoming. And additionally, if you did find value, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. I would sure appreciate it. And feel free to share this to any of your friends that you think might find some value in it as well. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. DIY, meal prep, batch cooking, and there was something else I was gonna tell you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It'll be a surprise to both of us.